Boundless Immigration News, Week in Review, August 12, 2022. Texas governor buses migrants to New York City, intensifying political feud. Texas Governor Greg Abbott started busing migrants from the southern border to New York City last week, intensifying the political showdown with New York City Mayor Eric Adams. He and Adams have engaged in public battle over social media in recent weeks. Adams has called the policy a political stunt and accused Abbott of using innocent people as political pawns to manufacture a crisis. Adams says the city's homeless shelters are at full capacity. City officials say there is a 1% vacancy rate at shelters, and plans are underway to make 11 emergency hotel rooms available. Adams has called for federal assistance to help New York City cope with the influx of migrants. New York City officials say that despite the challenges, they will welcome the migrants to the city. Senate Democrats withstand anti-immigration moods by GOP. Senate Democrats stood their ground over the weekend to stop anti-immigration amendments offered by Republicans to the climate and health care bill Democrats are moving through the budget reconciliation process. Republican senators offered several anti-immigration amendments to the bill to try and force Democrats into vulnerable races to take votes on controversial immigration proposals. One such amendment would have extended the Title 42 southern border policy, which prevents migrants from seeking asylum. Republicans, however, were unable to attract any Democratic votes. Democrats also withstood amendments that would have provided $440 million in funding to U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, giving hiring priority to Customs and Border Protection over the Internal Revenue Service, and provided $500 million to building the southern border wall. Bipartisan bill offers a green card hope for Afghan refugees. This week, 6 U.S. senators introduced the Afghan Adjustment Act, which would allow Afghan refugees with temporary status in the U.S. to apply for lawful permanent residence and pursue a path to U.S. citizenship. Since the Taliban seized control of Afghanistan last August, the U.S. has admitted over 76,000 Afghan evacuees to the country, and tens of thousands remain stuck in limbo as they await visas. Afghans that have arrived in the U.S. can only gain permanent legal status through the asylum system or special immigrant visa process, both of which are facing historic backlogs. If passed in the Senate, the bill would also establish a task force to provide continued support to Afghans still outside the U.S. who are eligible for special immigrant visas. The secret history of the U.S. government's family separation policy. A new report shows that during the year and a half that the Trump administration separated thousands of children from their parents, though they claim the separations were merely the unfortunate side effect of prosecuting migrants who tried to cross the border illegally with their children, that separating families was the original intention of the efforts. Investigative journalist Catherine Dickerson reveals that despite the Trump administration's false claims that there was no family separation policy, one had been operating in secret since spring 2017. They formally announced the policy in April 2018, nearly a year after it begun. The administration then declared that taking children from their parents was not the goal of the policy, but an unfortunate result of prosecuting parents who crossed the border illegally. Evidence shows, however, that this is patently untrue. Separating children was the goal. In fact, officials in the Trump administration worked to keep families apart for longer after they were separated. How immigrants could solve the inflation and labor shortage. Labor shortages have stretched businesses thin across industries in the U.S. for at least the past year, and by July, there were 10.7 million open jobs in the U.S., with an unemployment number of only 5.7 million, a shortfall from nearly 2 to 1. This means that even if every American in the workforce went back to work today, there would still be approximately 5 million jobs open. Goldman Sachs said that to get inflation down by 2%, the gap between open jobs and people looking for work would need to shrink by about 2.5 million. One solution? Increase immigration. The U.S. government issued about 1.2 million fewer visas from March 2020 through July 2021 to adult immigrants, refugees, and temporary foreign workers compared to the period of March 2018 to July 2019. By the end of 2021, there were about 2 million fewer working-age immigrants living in the United States than there would have been if the pre-pandemic immigration trend had continued unchanged. Because of the high number of open jobs compared to the available workers, increasing the number of immigrant workers in the U.S. would ease labor shortages without taking jobs from Americans. This would help cool inflation and potentially stave off a recession. Those are this week's top immigration news headlines. If you found this video helpful, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Boundless for the latest in immigration news. Thanks for watching.